Setting boundaries is one of the greatest acts of self-respect, yet so many people struggle with it because they've been taught that saying no is selfish. Many of us grow up believing that being kind means always being available, always saying yes, and always putting other people's needs before our own. We fear disappointing people, being rejected, or being seen as difficult. But the truth is, healthy boundaries are not walls that push people away. They are clear guidelines that protect our peace and allow relationships to grow in healthier ways. Real kindness isn't about sacrificing yourself to keep everyone else comfortable. It's about being honest about your limits while still treating others with compassion and respect. One of the biggest problems with living without boundaries is that it creates resentment. At first, constantly saying yes may seem like the loving thing to do, but over time it slowly drains your emotional energy. You begin to feel overlooked, exhausted, and unappreciated because you're giving more than you can afford to give. Instead of openly communicating your needs, you expect others to somehow notice your sacrifices. When they don't, frustration quietly builds inside you. Eventually, that frustration shows up as anger, burnout, or emotional distance. The issue isn't that people intentionally wanted to hurt you. Often they simply didn't know where your limits were because you never communicated them. Healthy relationships thrive on clarity, not assumptions. A powerful mindset shift is realizing that guilt does not always mean you're doing something wrong. For people who have spent years pleasing others, guilt is simply the emotional discomfort that comes from doing something different. When you start protecting your time, declining invitations, or saying no to unreasonable requests, your mind may immediately tell you that you're being selfish. But that's often just an old habit speaking. Growth almost always feels uncomfortable in the beginning because you're breaking patterns that have existed for years. Feeling guilty isn't proof that you've made a mistake. It may actually be proof that you're finally choosing yourself instead of constantly seeking approval from others. Another important lesson is that people learn how to treat us based on what we consistently allow. Every time we ignore behavior that crosses our limits, we unintentionally teach others that it's acceptable. If someone repeatedly interrupts your personal time, expects constant favors, or relies on you without giving anything back, and you never address it, they'll naturally assume you're okay with it. Boundaries aren't about controlling another person's behavior. They're about deciding what you will and won't accept and responding accordingly. Instead of demanding that others change, you calmly communicate your limits and follow through with your actions. Consistency is what makes boundaries effective. Without consistency, a boundary becomes only a suggestion. One of the most empowering ideas is understanding that every time you say yes to something you don't truly want, you're saying no to something that genuinely matters. Saying yes to unnecessary overtime may mean saying no to quality time with your family. Agreeing to every social invitation may mean saying no to much-needed rest. Constantly solving everyone else's problems may leave you with no energy to care for your own mental health. Your time, attention, and emotional energy are limited resources. Protecting them isn't selfish, it's responsible. When you become intentional about where you invest your energy, your life begins to align with your values instead of other people's expectations. Of course, not everyone will celebrate your new boundaries. Some people may become disappointed, frustrated, or even accuse you of changing. But changing isn't a bad thing. Growth naturally disrupts unhealthy patterns. Those who benefited from your constant availability may resist because the relationship is no longer as convenient for them. Their reaction is not always a reflection of your actions. It's often a reflection of their expectations. People who truly care about you may need a little time to adjust, but they will ultimately respect your honesty because healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not endless self-sacrifice. Learning to set boundaries also changes the relationship you have with yourself. Every time you honor your limits, you reinforce the belief that your needs matter. You begin to trust yourself more because your actions match your values. Instead of living from obligation, fear, or guilt, you begin making choices from a place of self-awareness and emotional balance. Over time, the guilt fades and is replaced with confidence, peace, and self-respect. You realize that protecting your well-being allows you to show up more fully in every area of your life. You become more present with your loved ones, more focused at work, and more emotionally available because you're no longer operating from exhaustion. Ultimately, boundaries do not destroy relationships. They reveal the quality of them. Healthy people appreciate honesty because it creates trust, while unhealthy dynamics often depend on silence and self neglect. The goal isn't to make everyone happy, it's to live in alignment with your values while treating both yourself and others with kindness. When you stop measuring your worth by how much you can give and start recognizing that your well being matters too, everything begins to change. Remember, every boundary you set is a reminder that your peace is valuable, your time is important, and your emotional health deserves the same care and protection that you so willingly offer to everyone else.